Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Zach Attack Reviews, where I break down the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly of movies, TV shows, and more. Today I'm going to be talking about my most anticipated movie of the year, Dune, now streaming on HBO Max and in theaters. I advise anyone who's interested in seeing this movie to see it in theaters. I think that would be the best experience if you feel safe. Did this movie live up to my expectations? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. Join me as I break down this movie. So this version of Dune is the newest adaptation by one of my favorite directors, Denis Villeneuve. Hopefully I said his name right. It's very French, and I know I mess up last names all the time. He has done Blade Runner 2049, Prisoners, The First Sicario, Enemy, and a bunch of other great movies that I love. I think he's one of my favorite directors of the last 10 years. And he tackles this political sci-fi fantasy thriller that's very dense and has a lot of world building. And we've had messy adaptations in 1984 and 2003 that tried to do the movie, and a limited series that did a little bit better of a job adapting the book. But what happened there is that they tried to adapt the whole book in one series, and the book is so dense, so expansive, has so much information that you don't want to cut out, and I don't think one movie can do it justice. So what Denis did here, he made this Dune Part 1, which I wish they would have advertised more in the trailers and the advertising that this is a part 1 of a movie, so when you go in, your expectations are set. It's not one solid story just told throughout and that's it. So this movie is about the family, the House of Atreides, and they're a royal family that rules over a whole planet. So they're part of this political structure that's governed by this hierarchy that we never really get to see, but the presence is felt. And there's a planet called Arrakis, and this planet is like just Las Vegas on crack. It's just all sand, but in the sand there's something valuable. It's called spice. It's a hallucinogen that you can take that has healing properties, but also can power the spaceships that these people use to go across planet to planet or galaxy to galaxy. So, like people do, they like to colonize, and they try to colonize this planet, but the people of the planet are fighting back. So the government took out this other group called the Hurricanes. Hopefully I pronounced that correct. Dune people, please don't kill me. That have been ruling it for 80 years and making tons of money off of it, and put the Atreides family in charge of removing the spice and supplying them with it. The best way to describe what the feel of this movie is, it feels like the original Star Wars mixed with Game of Thrones. That jockeying for position for the throne and the backstabbing and all the political intrigue, but with fantasy and the side that this feels like there's a Jedi. That's what the House of Atreides is, and the Harkonnens feel like Sith. Have the same goal, but one does it with honor and the other one does it with chaos. Whichever, they just take what they want. I'm going to start off talking about the good. The first thing I gotta say is the directing, the cinematography, the sound design, the score, and it's made by Hans Zimmer. He's done tons of different epic movies. You know what a Hans Zimmer score is when you hear it. And it fully immersed me in this movie. Sometimes when you watch a movie at home, you don't get as immersed as you might get in a movie theater, because you shouldn't be on your phone, but you can't really be on your phone. You're supposed to be just watching the screen. At home you can go on your phone, go grab some water, pause it, but I did not pause this movie not once. I was fully immersed from the opening note. It was very chilling. The score is very chilling. The sound design is perfect. You feel like you're there. It feels like Denis brought us to another planet, and I haven't felt like that in a long time. It didn't feel like a bunch of set pieces, and the set design was fantastic, because all the spacecrafts feel like these very futuristic spacecrafts, and you can see where Star Wars gets the inspiration from, but they had this animalisticness to them. They felt like beetles, like they designed them after bugs, because obviously bugs and birds. It made sense for them to use that architecture. And even on the planet Arrakis, where the sand and the spice is at, and where they think these people are primitive, the places that are built there looks like ancient Egyptian tombs, but taken to the next level, taken to the futuristic, because this is not just a galaxy far, far away like Star Wars, where you don't really know how far in the future it is. This is 10,000 years from where we are right now. So you expect so much sci-fi craziness, and they have all that in this movie, but they also ground it in a way with imagery and like architecture that feels like it comes from here. So it feels like it's building on what we have in the real world, but just taken to another level. I gotta say, everyone is supremely casted in this movie. I think that Timothee Chalamet plays a very great lead in this movie as Paul Atreides, the chosen one, the son of the leader of the Atreides family. Rebecca Ferguson, who plays his mother, does a great job of, being very emotive and emotional. You could tell that she feels a lot. Oscar Isaac is his father, the leader of the Atreides family in that world, and he plays the role with such honor. And he has his brother, Josh Brolin, Thanos himself, who even kind of uses the Thanos voice in this movie. He plays like a general, his right-hand man, and trains Atreides in this movie. The movie's heart and your investment, it depends on how much you get invested into these characters. I think they do a great job of characterizing all these characters and taking the time to make them breathe, and you see all the dynamics, and you start to care about them as a group while they're preparing for this journey onto this unknown planet that has environments that are very, very dangerous. Also, that stands out is Jason Momoa. I think he did a really great job in this. He does, his very cool dude, badass vibe that he has, but he has some really good emotional moments, and he shows more range in this movie than he shows in a lot of his stuff. And on the bad guy side, on the Harkonnen side, Stellan Skarsgård plays a very creepy, menacing, ambiguous villain, and it's so weird. It's like Jabba the Hutt, but like way more menacing, not as goofy. He's this big, nasty, scary leader, and he really stands out, and we don't get much of him, but when we get him, it's impactful. But in terms of from the Arrakis, the people that live there, the native people that live there that's trying to defend their land, we don't get to see much of everyone, but Zendaya, we've seen her, she's a lot of the trailers, and she pops up through these visions throughout the show. The movie, but once she's introduced, she has a very great presence to her and does a really great job as one of the warriors of the native people of Arrakis. And Javier Bardem, he does a great job as the leader of these people, and he's fully immersed, and you can tell that he is fully playing this character. He's just lost himself in it, and I think those are some of the standouts from this cast. Another great thing is that the story makes this feel very immersive. Like I said, it feels like Game of Thrones. It's a lot of political jockeying and people backstabbing, getting information, testing this person, and you don't know who you can trust, but they don't just rush into it. A lot of it is breathing out. They want you to understand the inner workings and how this particular world and how everything at this time works. We get to see all levels of how the House of Atreides works and why they do what they do, how they run, and how honorable they are, even though they're still kind of working for a colonizing group, but they try to do it in the least savage way they can. And then we get the other side with the Harkonnens, and then we get to see we get to hear about a lot of the inner workings of the people of Arrakis, and eventually see how they do certain things. And a lot of it's tribal, but also still futuristic at the same time, so it feels grounded in a way where you can understand it, but also it still kind of feels out of this world. And this movie is lengthy, and it's a lot of talking and visions, because Timothée Chalamet's character Paul, he has powers, which I think is another thing that they didn't really show in the trailers, is that he does have powers, and some of his powers are seeing visions, and he doesn't know if he's seeing the future or if he's having connections with particular people he's seeing, but he's seen as the chosen one, and his subtle performance is really great, showing that he's this kid that's been being groomed by two different sides, because he has the legacy of his father, who's the leader of the House of Atreides, but his mother, who is a witch, this world's version of a witch, and they see him as one of the chosen ones. Usually they're all female witches, and he may be the first male one. So he has all this weight on his world, and he's trying to get ahead of it. He sees the disaster coming, but everybody keeps telling him to just stay in his place while he's trying to get ahead of everything. And it's a really great performance by Timothee Chalamet, who he gets to really he doesn't stand out because he's not as emotive as everyone, but I think he does a really good job of holding the center of this. And the action is really good. It's not super outstanding, but it does the job. The hand-to-hand combat is very realistic. You know, people are not taking multiple shots and fighting like the Raid, but it's not super simple. It doesn't feel dancey either. It feels raw. And then mix it with some of the futuristic techniques, and like the body shield is so dope. The weapons are pretty cool. They look like standard knives, but they have meaning and honor to them as they go into it. They show you the engravings and the history. It feels like such a lived-in world that you're starting to get peeked into. Like, Denis got you a first row seat to see this futuristic world that feels like it's possible, like something that could actually happen. And I gotta say, one of the big things that they advertised in this movie was the big Dune sandworms, and they are as cool as advertised. They're not used like too much in the movie, but when they're shown, it's really cool. And when we get to see the whole thing, it's terrifying. Let's talk about the bad. I have two negative things I want to talk about. One where I feel like it doesn't affect my opinion of the movie, but I feel like it might affect other viewers' opinion of the movie, and that is that this is not a complete story. This feels like an act and a half of a movie because it is a part one and it's just a big dense story. So when it ends, you're like, wait, I need more. This can't be the ending of this movie. But when you have to understand this is a part one, you understand, okay, this is it. We're gonna get more, and it has been confirmed to get more. But I feel like certain viewers may feel shortchanged when the movie cuts, because you're like, well, I need to see what's going on. I feel like I didn't get enough. But it didn't affect me knowing that this was a part one. I felt satisfied, even though it only felt like an act and a half. Not even really, it doesn't really have a 3-act structure. It feels like this is just the beginning. And they even say that at the end of the movie to really reassure that this is just the beginning. Now, my only personal thing is in the beginning of this, I told you that this was my most anticipated movie of the year. I was super hyped for this when I heard about the director, the cast, and everybody involved in it, from the cinematographer to the score. I thought this was going to blow my mind, and I was going to be going crazy and geeking out. I do love this movie, but it didn't blow me away the way I thought it would. I think it's a really great movie, but it's not the masterpiece I was expecting. So, it's really more expectations hurting it than the fault of the movie. It's a really great movie, and I really, really, really like it. It's probably going to rank high in my top 10 list of movies this year, but I feel like some other people may feel like that as well. Let me know in the comments. So let's talk about the ugly. Yes, there's a little bit of ugly in this, and for new viewers, this section of my review is usually talk about a weird plot point that I feel like made no sense, or a social commentary that this movie had that I think didn't work well. So for this movie, I think it's a social commentary. This feels like a white savior story, which is overdone and tired, and they did it in this, like, Timothee Chalamet's character feels like this Jesus savior character that's coming to save these brown people on Arrakis. And I gotta say that I've heard from people who know the Dune lore, read the books, that that's not where it ends up. But just for this particular movie, this part one of this movie, it does feel like that. And even with the visions that the character is having, it makes it feel like he's the one. He's gonna save them all, and they're helpless. So that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. It didn't ruin my overall experience, but it was something that I noticed. And let's talk about my verdict. So I really love this movie. I thought it was a overwhelming sound design. Was all my senses were going off the Richter with the cinematography, the sound design, the score, the set pieces, the way the sets were created, the clothing. I forgot to talk about that. The performances from all the actors, the action, and just the orgasmic sci-fi feel in the movie. They don't make movies like this anymore, where they let things breathe and it's not filled with a bunch of jokes. It has its funny moments, but it's not a lot. And I just really enjoy being sucked into a world and just living in it for about like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it's just exploring everything, the inner workings of it. I really, really enjoyed that. But I gotta say, because of it having the story being, it was good, it's a good story, but it's not great because a lot of what's happening in the story is telegraphed throughout the movie, so you kind of know, you see the betrayal coming, you see the deaths coming, you know these things are going to happen because of visions, so it's not a lot of twists and turns and shocks. There's a small twist in the movie, but it's nothing mind-blowing, and that held the movie back from being a masterpiece to me. It's really, really close to one. It's one of the best movies I've seen in the year, one of the best sci-fi movies I've seen in a long time, and I really recommend it. And I give this movie a grade of a B+. So let me know what you think about Dune in the comments below. Let me know what you think about what I thought and what I said in the review. Do you agree with it? Do you agree with my good, the bad, and the ugly? Let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified of my next video and you can actually watch more right now.